So my last two spring breaks, I spent all of my time watching the NCAA tournament. Unfortunately, this year, the tournament did not fall on my spring break. So what did I do instead? Went to the Barclays Center to see the first round of the A10 tournament, and then proceeded to watch almost every single conference tournament for the next week. It was a really, really good time, and I feel pretty prepared for the NCAA tournament. However, I did still keep track of all the Philadelphia sports, and we're going to get you caught up on what's happened in the last 2 weeks in Philadelphia here on this episode of Sports Talk Philadelphia. Welcome back to Sports Talk Philadelphia. As always, I'm your host, Aiden Tuksinski. I'm joined by a less full panel this week, but still our regulars. So on my immediate left is Shane Nolan. Shane, how are you?
I'm good.
And then we got Braden Knapp at the far end. Braden, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Riley couldn't be here this week, but we hope to have her back next week and hope that she watches this episode as we talk about her Philadelphia Sixers. But before we get into the Sixers, the Eagles made some pretty big moves in free agency while we were away. The biggest one, obviously, is running back Saquon Barkley signing with the Eagles for a 3-year, $37.7 million contract, which was very nice for them. They also got C.J. Gardner-Johnson for a 3-year contract worth $33 million, so good to have him back. Leonard Dickerson signing a massive 4-year, $84 million contract. And then the Eagles also going after 2 linebackers in Devin White and Bryce Huff. Huff's contract obviously being the much bigger one. Braden, I think the biggest starting point, obviously, Saquon Barkley. Very, very cool to have a running back who has tortured the Eagles for the majority of his career now coming to Philadelphia so we can torture all the other teams in the NFC East.
Exactly. I can't wait for it. And what's even better is that Saquon Barkley has been wasted with the Giants. I mean, I think everyone can agree with that, especially they've not done anything, the horrible O-line. Now he comes to a team now, less great of an O-line, obviously, Kelsey leaving, but it's still a much better O-line, a better situation. I can't wait to see him dominate.
Yeah, when you see his stats last year, still 962 rushing yards, 10 total TDs. I think the biggest thing for the Eagles is now you have a passing option out of the running back. Not that Swift was a terrible option as a receiving back, but Barkley's just so elite at almost every single part of the position. That's going to open up the field so much more for Jalen Hurts.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Barkley, is elite at almost everything he does, like as you said. And just have him out as another option for Jalen, I think it's going to be lethal. I can't wait for it.
Yeah, with all the other options the Eagles have too. Very, very exciting to see. I also think that when it comes to Saquon, signing Leonard Dickerson to this contract was huge for the Eagles. Already the Eagles have him listed as a starting center for Kelsey, so it's pretty clear that they're probably going to go for a tackle in the draft, but they don't have to go for a center, Braden, which I think is really, really big, especially after losing a key piece to the Eagles' core, not only as the team like we talked about before, but just his leadership as well. I think Dickerson could be a great replacement for Kelsey.
I agree. I think that's probably the perfect fit. I mean, he's in-house. He knows the system, knows the coaches, and he's a good player, and he's a good offensive lineman. I think he'll have no problem, or not no problem, but it'll be a little bit of adjustment. But I think if anyone can get it done, Dickerson can get it done. And like as you said, in the draft, one guy, Mims, a Georgia guy who the Eagles love Georgia players, that could fit, replace their at tackle. It could be all perfect coming up.
Yeah, it seems like it's all coming together. I mean, look, Howie Roseman, we've talked about the fact that the way that he can manipulate the books, the way that he's able to sign these free agents is pretty unbelievable, and especially considering that the Eagles did not have the cap space compared to a lot of these other teams that made signings, and yet the Eagles were still able to do this. I think this is just a testament to how well the Eagles organization is run top to bottom, and it's really hard to compare them to most other teams in the NFL.
Oh, exactly. I mean, like I just said, our cap space wasn't anything crazy, but what do we have here? I mean, we signed Barkley. We got C.J. Gardner-Johnson back, who's arguably even more of my favorite of a signing than Barkley is, because I love C.J. Gardner-Johnson. But we got all these guys, and Bryce Huff. There's got to be some sort of a reward for Howie Roseman, because he's been amazing. I'm so happy for it.
Yeah, the CJ Gardner-Johnson one is kind of interesting. He went out on bad terms, not necessarily with the team, but mostly with the fans. Came back and did apologize. But Braden, I think that the play speaks for itself. And yes, he was hurt last year for Detroit. Yes, it was a bit of a down year for him. But the way he played in Philadelphia, that's how Eagles fans remember him. And the way the secondary played last year, they need someone like CJ Gardner-Johnson to step up if they want to get back to that success that they had in 2022 and not the down year that they had in 2023.
No, yeah. With CJ Gardner-Johnson, we get the safety that we desperately needed last season, and he comes back. I mean, I just love him because he's a dog, and like Eagles, we love as a joke. We love dogs here. I mean, the guy, he's crazy, and that's why like coming back. I don't really. I mean, a little bit of hard feelings you can say, but also I don't really care. Just come here. Let's get it done, and let's win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you there. I just really want him back and want that secondary to be what it was. Quickly before we move on to a trade, the Eagles had two great signings at linebackers. Yes, Devin White's had a little bit of a down year, not the career that he had at the beginning of his time in Tampa Bay, but still this was a need the Eagles needed to address. And I feel like that while they're still probably going to go with a linebacker in the draft, it was good to see them get linebacker depth in free agency.
It was very good to see that. I mean, Devin White, his time on the Bucs. Devin White's not a bad player, obviously. He's on the little bit end of his career. He's not as good as what he used to be. But I feel like he's going to be a great presence linebacker, and I feel like he could be a good mentor for, as you said, most likely a linebacker we're going to draft. So I think it's really good. And having another pass rusher in Bryce Huff, it's amazing. And we keep Sweat, so I think it's perfect.
Yeah, I think it's important to point out, too, is that White's still in his mid-20s, so it's not like he's completely over the hill. He just hasn't lived up to the expectations that he has. Hopefully with the Eagles, he can get back to where he was at the beginning of his career. Now, the trade the Eagles made, this one was a little bit interesting. So it was for a backup quarterback who was a former starter, Kenny Pickett, which pretty much any NFL fan knows who Kenny Pickett is. The Eagles did trade a 2024 third-round pick and two seventh-round picks in 2025 in order to get Pickett, and they also got a fourth-round pick. So the way that I look at this trade, Braden, is that they traded a third-round pick for Pickett and then traded two sevens for a fourth. To me, that's a win, regardless if Kenny Pickett even steps on the field.
I agree. I feel it was good, and that certainly gave us now we have our backup quarterback because that was a spot that was empty or vacant. So I think overall it was good. I don't love giving up a third-round pick, but I think it all balances out in the end.
Yeah, and so Kenny Pickett has had a very mediocre career, 13 career passing touchdowns, 13 career interceptions. His passer rating has gone down from his second year, from his first year. But the thing is, Braden, is that there is expectation for him. There's a reason he was drafted in the first round, regardless of not if I think it was for optics, which I think it was. I think Steelers fans would have revolted had the Steelers not gone for a you-pick guy. But I do think that as a backup, he's more serviceable than the backups the Eagles have had, especially with Mariota last year.
Oh, I completely agree. I think Kenny Pickett is not a great, but it's definitely a good backup quarterback to have in this league. And he's not what we thought he could, or what Steelers thought he could be and be a first-round QB. But I think he will be fine. He's a good backup.
Yeah, so we'll keep waiting to see what the Eagles do with the draft. With those rumors coming up, the Eagles, I'm sure, are not done signing guys either. And we'll see if any trades happen. So we will definitely keep an eye out on Philadelphia's favorite sports team, the favorite sports team that is playing right now in the Sixers. Little bit of a cold streak recently. So they've lost 5 of their last 8 games, really bad games against the Knicks. Somehow they won the first game that they played against them, 79-73. And then the following game against the Knicks, they then lost 106-79. So still they were consistent scoring points. The Knicks were not. They did beat the Hornets 109-98, and then the Heat. So those back-to-back wins have been really nice, Braden. But some of these games have been awful. The Pelicans game was not good. That Knicks game wasn't good, and even the one they won was not good. So they just look a little inconsistent, regardless of how the last 2 games have gone.
They do, and the one thing that especially stands out to me is obviously not every game, but most of these games, even if we win, we're not even getting over 100. Yes, with the Hornets we got 109, perfect. But the Heat 98. The Knicks, when we beat them, we had 79. We're just lucky that they played horrible and they got 73. But I think that's the one thing that really concerns me right now. Is just we're not scoring enough.
Yeah, so since we've been away, they were held to 4 games under 100 points, which is just not very good. And even this Heat game that they won, yes, the defense was awesome. Yes, Tyrese Maxey scored 30 points, who we will get into in a little bit. But regardless of that, it just feels, when you put it into context with the way that they played, it just feels like there's something missing. I know that something missing is probably Joel Embiid, but to me, I just feel like I wanted them to be a little bit more consistent without Embiid, and that just hasn't been the case.
No, yeah, I think that's fair for I think every 76ers fan that they would want everyone to step up without Embiid. But I think unfortunately what you're saying is without Embiid, I don't know. I don't think we're a very good team without Embiid, and it's showing.
Yeah, I think that's pretty clear. And there is good news on that front. Coach Nick Nurse said that Embiid is on his way back to being ready to play in April. As of right now, Embiid is going through walkthroughs, nothing too serious at the moment, but hopefully he'll be back soon. And for the guys that are playing right now, it's been very, very good. Tyrese Maxey, 3 straight games with 30 points. You got Kelly Oubre, who's also played very well, 20 or more points in 6 of his last 9 games. So, Braden, things are looking up, especially with these star players in Maxey and Oubre. I feel like Oubre is getting back to that point that he was at the beginning of the season, and Maxey playing the way he's now, especially after missing 4 games with a concussion. Very good to see for those 2 Sixers.
Oh, very good to see. It's nice, especially like going forward, especially if this year's not where we want it to be. Let's look forward to next year, and we have Maxey playing phenomenal, and especially if Kelly Oubre can step into that next level and be our third option, I think it can be great.
Yeah, and I think it is important to mention that if Joel Embiid comes back, and again, that seems to be the case, he won't be 100%, and they still have to work his way back in April, so he still probably will play in a couple regular season games before the playoffs, which is good. The bad news is that the playoffs are so much more different than the regular season, Braden. And I feel like only playing 3 or 4 regular season games before the playoffs, it's going to be a really tough adjustment, and that worries me a little bit.
Oh, you definitely should worry you and worry all Sixers fans, unfortunately. But, I mean, one thing you can say is you never know. I mean, it is Embiid we're talking about. He's one of the best players, if not the best player in the league. But it's going to be hard coming back from just getting off injury to then returning to his form and being one of the league's dominant. But I feel like overall I feel like we'll be fine. I don't know. I have a feeling that Embiid's going to come back and he's just going to, because Embiid, he puts everything that he has into the game. And I think when he comes back, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, so I do really like your optimism. The unfortunate part is that when you look at the standings, my optimism starts to fade a little bit, especially because the Sixers are still the 6th team in the East. Yes, they're not in the play-in anymore, which is good. But when you look at the standings, still behind the Magic, still behind the Knicks by slightly, the Cavs and Bucks, and then the Celtics have just clearly run away with the Eastern Conference standings. They've already clinched the playoff spot. They're the only team in the NBA to clinch the playoff spot. So I don't think anyone's catching them, especially not the Sixers. But, Braden, for me, what worries me is that, yes, the Sixers are finally out of the play-in, and beating the Heat was a really key part of that. But they're still not better than the Magic and the Knicks. That part just really brings me down a little bit.
I know, because especially on paper, when we just know we're definitely a better team, especially with Embiid, we're definitely a better team. And the unfortunate thing is with this is, do you think it's a matter of the Sixers can even come back and get ahead of these teams? I mean, they're several games ahead now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's even a question. Can we even get ahead of them? Or are we just going to have to do the best we can to keep this 6th spot?
Yeah, because, I mean, right now, if the season were to end today, the Sixers would be playing the Cavs. The Cavs would have home court advantage in a Game 7 situation. And I understand that the Sixers would have Embiid back, it seems like, for the playoffs. But even if that is the case, Braden, I do not like the Sixers going into any playoff series against these top teams as the road opponent. Because if you somehow win that, then you have to play probably the Bucks. And at some point, the Celtics are going to be around, I think. So all those teams ahead of you, it's a bit daunting when you think about it that way.
It's very daunting, but let's look at it this way. Look at it last year. Yeah. Miami Heat came out of the East with their team. I think the Sixers, especially if Embiid comes back and he's good, there's no reason why we can't get it. I mean, with a grain of salt, but we can definitely do what the Magic did and get to the championship. Now, it'd be very difficult, but stay positive, we could.
Yeah, we definitely could. I just feel like that the Celtics, I know that a lot of the people on this panel do not want to give the Celtics credit. I understand completely why, especially considering these past years of disappointment against the Celtics in the playoffs. The Celtics are playing at a level that I haven't seen from many other NBA teams. So I think that aspect of it will be very interesting. But yes, the Sixers could still make a run, especially if Embiid comes back. So it will be important to see. These games coming up are going to be a big I think when you look at it, these games are going to be so important for the Sixers' run. So you got the Suns, Lakers, Clippers, Kings all the way. So this is a West Coast trip against 4 playoff teams. Braden, I don't think I remember seeing a schedule like this where you're going against 4 West Coast teams and all of them are fighting for a playoff spot.
Yeah, this is what you call a test, and it's a very big test. All these teams. I mean, we could definitely beat these teams, but I think we could definitely lose all these teams. I think the Suns and especially the Clippers are gonna be tough. But I mean, I feel like going to the Clippers, it's gonna be hard. Harden, I don't want to lose to Harden.
Yeah.
Let's please not let that happen. But he's in LA. He's gonna want revenge. But I don't know. This is gonna be tough.
Yeah.
As you say.
Yeah, and I think it's important to point out that both the Suns and Lakers right now are playing teams, the Lakers and Suns are playing teams. The Clippers and Kings are still not the top teams in the East or West, although the Kings are tied with like 2 other teams for that top spot. So luckily you get the 2 playing teams first before you have to play the Clippers and Kings. But even still, the Suns and Lakers feel that they're better than a play-in team. To me, the Sixers have been playing almost at the level of a play-in team. Those games, to me, scare me more than the Clippers and Suns.
No, I agree. I mean, the Suns and the Lakers, I mean, yeah, like look at the standings where they are. But I mean, look, it's the Suns with Kevin Durant. I mean, you got to look at these teams. These are not bad basketball teams.
No.
This is going to be a very big test to see where we place. Because if we lose all 4, bye-bye that 6th spot.
Yeah. Yeah, by that point, you're probably falling to 8th. And the way the Bulls have been playing, they've actually been playing around 500 basketball at this point in the season. And the Sixers are still a little bit better than them. Although you lose 4 straight, the Bulls win a couple, you're pretty much tied with them. So they could fall to the 9th, which you do that almost guarantees that you're not making a run that deep in the playoffs if you even win that first playoff series. So hopefully the Sixers can get it together. Braden, again, I know we don't like doing predictions on the show because usually don't go very well. How do you see these 4 games taking up?
Suns, probably going to lose. But Lakers, I don't really like the Lakers. We're going to beat them. Clippers, I think we're going to go in there, screw James Harden. We're going to win. And then I think it'll be tough getting the Kings. To be nice and probably realistic, I'll give us a loss to the Kings. We'll go 2-2.
Yeah, 2-2 would be very optimistic. We'll see how that shakes up next week. We're now going to move to the Flyers, who've also struggled against some of the teams in their Eastern Conference. So the Flyers have let up 6 or more goals in 3 of their last 4 games. So that part has been a little bit of a struggle. They did beat the Panthers, however. They beat the Sharks, and they beat a very good Maple Leafs team. So, Shane, those wins were all very good. But the losses that they had were some of the worst losses that the Flyers have had all season.
Yeah, they were. I mean, last week they started a 7-game stretch against the top teams in the East, starting first with the Maple Leafs, in which they lost that game 6-2, and it was a brutal, brutal game defensively. I mean, goaltending wasn't there. It was just so awful. And in the game against the Bruins, they had the lead. You had their game-tying goal when they tied it up 1-1. Made me so angry just because Mark Stahl is one of the worst defensemen in the league, and he just stood there in front of the guy, and instead of lifting his stick up, Mark Stahl just held his stick up in the air himself. What are you doing? Like, you're supposed to tie the guy up that's in front of the net and stick lift him so he can't tap the puck in the net to tie the game. But no, he doesn't know what he's doing. He got sat the other night, though, thankfully. And then, obviously, played the Maple Leafs again and beat the Maple Leafs.
Yeah, that win against the second time they played the Maple Leafs was a very good win. And I've seen this pointed out, too, that Samuel Ersson, since he's became the starting goalie, has played really, really well. He's only had a few bad games. Shane, the issue is when he has a bad game, it's one of the worst games that a goalie could possibly play. And there needs to be some sort of balance in between that, because if you have a bad game, let up 5 goals within the first period and a half, you're probably not winning that game or you're having any chance of a comeback, which they almost did against the Bruins, but still couldn't pull off that comeback. So I feel like Ersson just needs to be a little better when he's having an off night.
Yeah, no, he does. I mean, yeah, when he plays good, he's really good. He's probably one of the best goaltenders in the league when he plays. Hence that Panthers game when they won 2-1. He kept them in that game. But yeah, when he's bad, he lets in a lot of soft goals. He just seems to be sliding all over the place. He kind of seems to be like off his angle sometimes. And I feel like that has a lot to do with just him playing a lot of games. He's a young goaltender. He's 23, 24. And he's played a lot this year just because they don't have a serviceable backup. So a lot of these games are taxing on him, and I just feel like that's part of the reason why.
Yeah, definitely. This is the first time he's gotten this much playing time. So it is good to see him playing well in some of these games. And I feel like he will get better as we keep going and as he gets more experience. When you look at the standings, the Flyers still at that playoff spot. Look, I know that they've been playing pretty well, and we weren't expecting them to even get into a playoff spot at this point in the season. But that gap that they had between some of these other teams, it's disappeared quickly. You've got the Capitals right behind them at 75 points. The Flyers right now 78. You got the Islanders right now at 73. Devils at 70. And the first two teams ahead of them, the Rangers and Hurricanes, they're not catching them.
Definitely not catching the Rangers and Hurricanes. There's no way. I mean, I know they do play the Hurricanes coming up, and then they play the Rangers soon next week. But yeah, the Capitals have been playing a lot better, and that was a huge win against the Maple Leafs the other night because at that time they were only 1 point ahead of the Capitals, and well, now they're 3 because of that win. But yeah, the Capitals are playing a lot better, and I think they have an easy schedule the rest of the way. The Islanders have a couple tough teams to go up against, but I would really look out for the Capitals because Ovechkin's starting to score consistently again, and the last game of the season is going to be very important because that's for the Flyers because that is against the Capitals, so that could possibly determine which team gets in the playoffs.
Yeah, that would be pretty insane if that were to be the case. And Shane, you see the next 4 games, the standings are really close. You got the Hurricanes, Bruins, Panthers, Rangers, really tough games. I feel like the Flyers need to win 3 out of those 4 in order to keep that playoff spot. Do you think that's doable?
I think it is. They beat the Hurricanes once this year. They beat the Panthers twice already this year. So both of them 1-goal games, both 2-1 wins. So I feel like they just play well against the Panthers because I just feel like they're kind of the same team. I mean, obviously the Flyers don't have the star power that the Panthers do, but they play the same way in their toughness, the checking, and the puck moving and stuff like that. But yeah, it's going to be tough against the Bruins and the Rangers, who they lost already to twice this year, and then who was the other one?
The other one was Hurricanes.
Hurricanes.
Yeah, so really tough games for both the Sixers and Flyers, so we'll be very interested to see how they do by the time we come back next week. So we are now going to go into Fast 5, which we did not do the last time we had the show, but we are back to doing this segment, and we will start off the Fast 5 segment with our favorite question, or not really question, but I guess question, we'll say that, Talking Baseball with Shane Nolan.
Yeah, so about 2 weeks ago, Braves manager Brian Snitker was on a podcast once again complaining about the playoff format, that his team got a bye week, blah, 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 that's why they didn't play well and all this. Listen here. You guys were the best. You guys were the best team in baseball. You guys were breaking records, okay? You had the best offense in baseball last season, okay? That's not part of the reason why you guys didn't play well. You just didn't hit the ball. I mean, there was times where the Phillies made great defensive plays as well, to where the Braves could have taken the lead, but that's not the reason why, because you guys got a bye week. Yeah, newsflash, thumbhead. Guess what? The Astros, when the playoff format was first implemented in 2022, who won the World Series? The Astros. What did they do? They got a bye week. Who did they play in the ALCS? The Yankees, who also had a bye week. So stop complaining and maybe just put on that orange spacesuit again and go act in another Spy Kids movie, okay?
Well, I don't have anything else to say after that, so thank you, Shane, for calling out the Braves. We're now going to go to Braden for the NBA MVP frontrunner.
Let's do it. That was awesome, by the way. All right, so for the MVP frontrunner, I think there's only there's guys up there. The top 3 we can say Jokic, Shea, and then probably Giannis. But I think it's probably going to go to Jokic, and that's who probably deserves it. I mean, 26 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists. I mean, he's almost averaging a triple-double, and it's a good triple-double at that. And Nuggets, top teams in the West, I think it's probably going to be Jokic, and I think he's the front runner.
I think that Shea is definitely going to put up a competition, but you're right. I think it would be really hard to argue against Jokic the way that he's been playing, the way the Nuggets have been playing. And to me, the Nuggets right now are the front runner to win the West. So we will see if Jokic can keep up the way that he's playing now. Braden, we're going to go back to you. The Union season has been a little bit kind of weird so far, but how do you think things are going right now?
It hasn't been the greatest to say, but in league standards, one of the positives is that we still have not lost a game. It's a little unfortunate that we had to postpone that game against the Sounders, but we'll get back to it later in the season. The game against Austin, it was just a close game. I mean, it could have gone either way. We had some more chances where we probably should have finished, and again, poor defensively. But I think overall, at least in league standpoints, not the CONCACAF Champions League, which we got killed in. We won't talk about that. But at least so far in the MLS, we've been mediocre, to say at best.
Yeah, I think most people want to move on from CONCACAF almost as quickly as possible and get into MLS.
We're not going to talk about
standings. Yeah, exactly.
We're not going to talk about that.
So, Braden, I'm going to go back to you because, Shane, I'm also going to ask you why you didn't do this. So, NCAA March Madness brackets, you filled one out, Braden?
I did. I filled a couple, actually.
Okay. Shane, why didn't you?
Because I just don't watch college basketball. So
Most people that fill them out don't watch college
I know,
basketball.
but what's the point in filling it out? I'm not going to win any money. I don't know. I don't know who's a good team and stuff like that. So,
well, okay, to be fair, I follow more college basketball than I think 99% of people do. I really don't know who's going to win this year. That's just the way that it's gone.
yeah, I know, but I mean, you have a better chance of probably winning because you know the teams that are good. So,
Braden, who do you have winning? If you're willing to spoil it.
I keep going a little back and forth. I don't want UConn to, but I think they're probably going to end up back. But besides UConn, I have a weird thing about Duke. I don't know. They're the 4th seed?
Yeah.
Kind of a little bit of a sleeper. I don't know. I think Duke might go in there.
Yeah,
honestly.
as long as you don't
Sleeper.
pick Purdue. Sorry, Dr. Smith, but Purdue,
I
I
hate
just
Purdue.
do not trust them at all. But we will see how all these teams do in March Madness. For my public enemy this week, I'm going to stick with college basketball and go to the Temple men's basketball team. Now, the reason that they are my public enemy this week is because in their last regular season game, there was a weird betting line that happened where they went from a 1-point underdog to then a 7.5 underdog within an hour of the game starting, which is just a really weird line. I ended up losing that, which set off a whole investigation into whether or not there might be some point shaving going on the Temple men's basketball team. Well, Temple went into the AAC tournament, ended up becoming the 11th seed, and then going to the final where they, of course, lost to UAB. To me, there's just something really wrong about that. How do you go the entire season playing mediocre to, honestly, below average basketball to then getting into your conference tournament and deciding to light the world on fire? If you are rigging games, just rig games all the way through. Don't wait until you finally get caught to start playing well. To me, there's just something wrong with that. But that wraps up this week of Sports Talk Philadelphia. Thanks so much for watching our very passionate panel this week. But always make sure to check us out on social media at Sports Talk LTV on Twitter and Instagram. We will come back next week with our very fiery passion, maybe some more hot takes, and hopefully talking about some positive wins for the Sixers and Flyers next week. So make sure to check us out then. Thanks for watching now.